At the beginning of this story, we see Bin standing in a court. The judge found him guilty and sentenced him to jail. But Trevor says, "I'm not guilty. All the guilt lies with that bee over there." That's where the main story begins. Bin has taken up a new job at a house-sitting company. For those who don't understand, house-sitting involves caring for a house. Just like babysitting involves taking care of a baby, house-sitting involves taking care of a house. After joining the job, Bin is sent to Mrs. Kostelin and Christian couple's house. Coastal and Christian will be away for a few days, and while they are gone, they have hired a house sitter to take care of their house. When Bin arrives near the house, Kostalin and Christian are getting ready to leave. When Bin enters the house, he is accompanied by a bee. This bee is the most important character in this story. All the subsequent events revolve around this housefly. As Bin enters, Kostalin tells him they are in a hurry, so there's no time to explain everything. Their house is fully voice-controlled, a complete smart home. Everything about how it works is written in a book. Then she goes to the kitchen and says, "Everything here works on gestures." She demonstrates a few. Then Christian shows him their pet dog and warns him it's allergic to almonds, so they must not give it any almonds, and he must be careful not to leave anywhere it could reach them, and shit in here and there. Then he shows him some art pieces, saying they are costly, each costing $80,000. Then he takes him to the garage and shows him some cars worth $2 million, which must be regularly washed. He keeps saying all these, then says again that every door has an electronic lock system. The code is written in the manual, 1748 for doors, and this also works on voice control, but only on Kostelini's voice. While she is gathering everything to leave, she goes to pick something from the wardrobe. Bin says, "What are you doing? I'll bring it out for you." Saying this, he goes to pick it up and throws out the stuff from inside. There were some small balls there. They scattered all over. Anyway, they leave in the car. Bin also comes and relaxes a bit after closing the door. Then it is seen that the fly has entered the house. Bin goes to close the door of the drawing room, but it doesn't close because of the small rubber ball, and Bin doesn't notice it. He relaxes and sends his daughter a voice message saying he has got a new job. When he says this, the fly keeps buzzing around and he tries to shoo it away. But Bin is no ordinary person. He is Mr. Bin. And if Mr. Bin doesn't make 2 or 4 crappy moves, what else will happen? The fly just keeps buzzing. Yes, that's what he does. And as a result, the head of the expensive doll breaks. He goes to the kitchen to get super glue to fix it somehow. But he doesn't know where the super glue is. After searching, suddenly he remembers that everything in this room is written in the manual book. He keeps searching for the manual book, but finds nothing in the book. Then he goes to another room and keeps searching. Luckily, he finds the super glue there, and he uses it to fix the doll's head. But it seems like this doll is not an ordinary doll. It's a doll of a collector, a very expensive doll. Even after using a lot of glue, it still doesn't stay intact. Naturally, does glue work on cement stuff? He takes a hairdryer to dry the glue with warm air. As soon as he starts to dry the glue, the head flies off and falls, and the dog at home just takes it away, thinking about it as a ball. Thus, it begins more chaos. Now, throughout the house, the search for the dog begins. After a while, when the dog is found, he continues to wrestle with the dog. Neither the dog nor he gives up. After half an hour wrestling with the dog, he can retrieve the doll's head. Then, with caution, he slowly somehow manages to put the doll back together. Then, he goes to the kitchen, trying to figure out what to do next. Suddenly, while scratching his hair, the kitchen rack's doors open automatically. He sees many cans of food inside. He takes 1 can of food to eat. Then, he takes a pan to heat the food on the stove. But Bin leaves the manual for the house on the nearby stove. There were a total of 6 burners there. He tried to start the burner for the pan, but started the one the manual was placed on. And he starts cooking on the empty burner without fire. Incredible work. When Bin was about to do this task, the fly again came buzzing around him. Seeing the fly sitting on the table, he grabs a plastic glass and traps it inside. Anyway, as the glass was thin, the fly began to escape from the glass due to its agility. And Bin, on the other hand, continues to cook without fire. And where there is no need for fire, he blows out the house's manual. Suddenly, he looks behind and sees the fly, after escaping buzzing around his face, irritating him. He walks around a bit and sees the main door open, thinking maybe the fly went out through it. As he approaches the door, he thinks the fly is gone. Looking around, he notices the pan seems to not be heating up. He increases the fire, but it only spreads further underneath the manual. In this situation, he hears the sound of the fly starting to buzz in front of the dog. As the dog chases the fly, they end up running into the drawing room, where the dog's arrival is completely restricted. The door locks as soon as the dog enters. Hearing the sound of the dog, Bin rushes to the door. Meanwhile, he has forgotten the door code. Checking the manual, he sees that it's completely caught in fire. He quickly removes it from the stove and puts it in the basin to extinguish the fire. But meanwhile, the situation of the manual is dire. completely burned. On the other hand, as the dog runs after the fly, it wreaks havoc in the entire drawing room, causing complete chaos and destruction. Ben tries hard to remember the code, but he just can't. Then he grabs a hammer to break the door. With the hammer hitting the door, it breaks and falls. Another expensive painting, worth $82,000, falls along with it. What a mess. Meanwhile, the dog completely ruins the room, making him think that the voice command for the door is the only option left. Mimicking women's voices, he keeps saying, 1748, 1749. Eventually, the code sticks and the door opens. Now, what will happen to the $82,000 painting? He takes out clothes from under the sofa, spreads tomato sauce on them, and makes them red. Then he puts the sauce-covered paper on the painting. What a genius move. After that, the dog, having destroyed everything, already created a mess in the room. He tries his best to patch up everything in the room, then lies down to sleep after a short video call with his daughter. The next day, he woke up and was having an ice cream. Then, the fly starts disturbing him again. The fly enters his pants and goes to the real place. Just then, the doorbell rings, and he sees a police officer coming to check in on the house. He wanted to talk to the police officer nicely, but the fly kept bothering him in the real place. So he continued acting like that. Once he dances, once he swings, etc., all bizarre actions. The police officer, bewildered, leaves after a while. Upon reaching inside in a rush, Ben hastily buttons his pants everywhere, as if the fly could not escape. Then, he staples his pants shut everywhere, blocking all paths. He challenges, "Hey, idiot, come out now!" Today, is it my turn or yours, in his mind? In his joyous mood, while pulling down his pants halfway to step out, Ben notices the fly circling his nose. He checks and sees that the chain of his pants is open all this time. From this, we can learn to always keep an eye on our chain. Otherwise, the fly will escape just like this. Anyway, Ben is in big trouble. This fly is disrupting his peace. This time, with a cunning plan, Ben decides to trap the fly inside the microwave. He places a plate of honey-soaked bread inside the microwave and hides it behind the table with a stick, so that when the fly enters the microwave, he can shut the door with the stick, trapping the fly inside. His plan works perfectly, but he left the bread knife with honey open, and the dog comes and starts licking it. Unfortunately, the dog is allergic to these foods. Then, Kostalin calls him on a video call, wanting to see the dog. Meanwhile, the dog, having eaten allergic food, lies down completely lethargic. Now, who can show the dog like this? So, without saying a word, he stands still like a statue, as if his internet connection has gone down. Eventually, Kostalin, suspecting internet issues, hangs up. Ben immediately puts the dog in another room and goes to turn on the microwave to take revenge on the fly. But, at that moment, his conscience doesn't agree anymore. He thinks, why torment the fly like this? So, he lifts the microwave, takes it outside, and lets it go, saying, go wherever you want, and leaves. But instead of going outside, the fly starts heading towards the house again. Ben is amazed. He runs after it, but he still can't catch it. It goes inside the house, and he ends up outside. Now, how will he get inside? The door seems like it's not going to open at all, and it won't open even in a lifetime from the outside. After some running around, Ben finally figures out there's a small special door for the dog. It will open from the inside, but even that won't open without removing the band around the dog's neck. When the band is near the door automatically opens. So, he tried to bring the dog closer to that door with gestures, but the dog didn't even give him a single bark. Then, he cleverly brings a cat, and as the dog sees the cat, it gets excited. To catch the cat, it rushes out through the door in one go, but to no avail. The door immediately shuts behind it. Then, he runs behind the dog and grabs its collar and puts it around his neck. With a sigh, he tries to coax his body inside through the door, but after some struggle, he manages to get inside a bit before getting stuck. And right in front of his nose, there's the dog's snout. Yuck, oh no. Then the cat comes back, and the dog nudges him toward Ben's backside and bites his ass. Ben successfully lands on the dog's shit and smears the snout all over its face. Poor thing, if I'd been like this, I would have left home. Now Ben's mood is terrible, feeling angry at the file. He grabs a tennis racket and starts whacking the fly like he is on a vendetta. After almost an hour of swinging the racket in the air, he finally lands on the fly, and it goes to a barren flower pot. Then, with a cunning mind, he takes a machine for mixing eggs and pours it into the flower pot as if the fly had died. But as soon as he takes out the machine, the fly flies out again. Then he tries again to catch the fly with the machine, but the machine ends up in a valuable showpiece, causing it to break. After many futile attempts to catch the fly, Ben gives up and the fly escapes from the house. He can't do anything. On the other hand, his face is in a terrible state. That's when the doorbell rings. It seems that the police have arrived. In a hurry, he puts on a big coat from the wardrobe and goes to talk to the police. The police inform him that there have been almost daily robberies in this area. If he knows anything, he should inform the police. With that, the police leave, and he goes for a refreshing shower. Now even the bathroom is smart. Voice commands are there. As soon as he starts the bathroom, red and blue lights come on. Music starts playing, and automatic cold water comes out. With joy in his heart, he bathes, singing happily. Oh, what bliss. Bliss overflowed. In the ecstasy of happiness, he starts dancing in the bathroom. Suddenly, he realizes that the fly is sitting outside of his bathroom on the glass. He splashes water on it and throws it away. Then, he starts looking for it from the bathroom. He looks under the bed and quickly grabs a hairdryer to blow it. The fly flies far away. Then, he tries with a hill shoe, but to no avail. Even a single stroke doesn't stick to it. Should he use a hill shoe or not? Anyway, as the fly hides inside the piano while flying, he throws the piano cover to trap it. Then he starts playing the piano upside down, as if the piano is possessed. But the fly is quite clever. It doesn't get stuck even with a stroke. After a while, Ben suddenly feels it might have died. Thinking this, he slowly opens the cover, and the fly flies away right in front of his eyes. Now enraged, he tries everything he can, but to no avail. The fly enters a small pit. Ben gets another chance. He takes the fly using a vacuum cleaner on top of the pit. Now, the fly is in the vacuum cleaner bag. With a sense of triumph, he takes out the bag from the vacuum cleaner. Upon it, he starts hitting with a trophy of Costaline. When he gets filled with satisfaction, hopefully this time, something good will happen, right? But amidst this, due to his hitting, the trophy of Costaline breaks. Anyway, to make sure, at night he throws the bag into the fire to burn it completely. Even if it remains alive, at least it will be fully destroyed. What do you think? This time, the fly has surely done. Completely done. No, not at all. The fly doesn't go until the bag itself. It was inside the nozzle. Poor Ben. Even after so much effort, he couldn't kill a single fly. With a sense of relief, Ben restores everything in the house and goes to his room, lying down. Then, his daughter calls him on a video call. Just when he was talking, burglars came to that house. The burglars hacked the security of that house and shut it down. Ben has no idea about all this while talking on the phone. The burglars enter the house and pacify the dog by feeding it. They target the most valuable items in the house. The most expensive ones bought at auctions. They plan to take those. Suddenly, Ben's phone dies and something is happening in the house. He gets up and goes out. He slowly opens the door and eventually goes to the bathroom. When he goes there, he finds a fly sitting on the toilet seat. Oh no, his world turns upside down. Just a moment ago, I was burning it myself. How did it survive? He goes to hit the fly again, but it flies away again. Water splashes from the middle, hitting his face. Once the dog shit, and this time, human urine. Understand the situation, folks. On this side, the thieves, upon reaching the statue, found its head broken. Then, they took the painting. They found it damaged as well. Then, upon going to the trophy, they found it destroyed too. Their whole plan falls apart, wondering what went wrong. Meanwhile, Ben is having a battle with the fly in the bathroom, armed with a stick. Later, the thieves, suspecting someone's presence, hide in the drawing room. Despite searching for a while, Ben can't find the fly, so he activates the lock and leaves. As soon as the lock clicks, the thieves are trapped inside the drawing room. The next morning, when they attempt to leave, they find Ben missing and decide to stay hidden. Then, a police officer arrives, asking if they've seen any thieves in the area last night. Ben, not knowing anything, jokes and says no. The police notice just in time to catch 3 of them trying to escape through the door behind Ben, who is startled. The police apprehend them, and Ben continues cleaning the house. Suddenly, he hears buzzing coming from the room. Thinking of a new plan, he gathers all the spray bottles in the house and sets up a trap. However, despite emptying several bottles, he still can't find the fly. Rather, he finds the dog instead. The dog entered there while Bean was busy with his stupid work. He finds the dog about to die. He gets more frustrated. Exactly that moment, Miss Kostalin calls, and somehow he manages to talk to her. After the call with Kostalin, he takes the dog to the hospital. Meanwhile, the fly is still alive. He tries to catch it, but fails. Finally, he decides to drive the fly away in his car. But during the struggle, the car's exhaust pipe gets damaged. After numerous attempts, he decides to dismantle the car entirely, only to find the fly isn't there. Despite all efforts, he remembers the car's worth is far more than him. Feeling defeated, he sits down, contemplating his actions. Eventually, he realizes he's been foolish and hurt himself in the process. He limps back to his room. The fly moves slowly, swaying its tail, and even ventures into his room. What a stubborn fly. Seeing this, his mood worsens, so he decides to kill the fly by detonating a bomb. After watching YouTube, he learns to make a small bomb. Then, he placed a jar of honey over a wooden trap and filled it with bomb material. He opens all the doors and windows of the house as if to let the fly out. Meanwhile, Koslan and Christian are worried about the behavior of their house sitter, Bin, and rush back to see what's happening. As the scent of honey attracts the fly, it enters the trap. That's when Bin activates the bomb, causing a huge blast. However, the blast doesn't harm the fly, and the noise scares the dog. It starts running outside. When Koslan and Christian arrive, they see a blast occurring on top of their house. The trap lands on the dog, and the fly flies back into the house. Later, Koslan and Christian see Bin spraying fire inside their house. Suddenly, Bin's flashback ends, and a scene appears in court. It can be understood that the owner has filed a case against him for causing millions of dollars in damage. As a result, the court sentences him to 3 years in prison and imposes fines for everything. After 3 months, one day in jail during mealtime, Bin overhears 3 people behind him discussing a burglary. They plan to rob the same house that Bin was sent to, with the hope that they could steal double the amount from the insurance company. Bin realizes that they are the thieves. He calls the police and confesses everything. After investigation, the police find out that the incident is true. The couple had claimed much more money from the insurance company than the actual loss, so the police arrest them. However, due to Bin's good deeds and use of the insurance money, the court reduces his sentence and sets him free. The insurance company even rewards Bin with 5,000 euros. With that money, Bin takes his daughter and wife on a trip. But one morning, while enjoying themselves, another fly approaches him. Bin is astonished and attacks. I wonder what mischief this fly will bring this time. Let me know your thoughts in the comment and subscribe for more.